Hi again, and congratulations for your fabulous phonotypes. I'm sure they must be looking fantastic and you guys must be extremely happy with your animations. So now let's move on to the next animation, which is a Kineograph. A Kineograph was invented in 1868. So if you remember, in the first session we spoke about the thaumatrope in 1825, 1832 the phenakistoscope, 1834 was a zoetrope, and then the praxinoscope. The kineograph is an optical device which was also invented in the 1800s, in 1868 by John Barnes Linnet. And this is an example of a kineograph, and I'm sure you all have seen it. We call it flip books these days. It's also called thumb cinema because you're using your thumb to flip it, right? So it's also called thumb cinema. So this was an optical device which was invented in 1868, and we're going to create something very, very similar to this, right? So what we're going to do is, because once you make an animation on this, it's difficult to shoot it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an animation on a notebook, something like that, which you'll have at home. I'm sure all of you all use it in your schools, right? So I've already created one animation here, and you can see that this has a mirror effect. So whatever is happening here, the same is happening on the other side. So we're going to create an animation very similar to this. If you can see, I've used only simple shapes to create this, but I would give you all the freedom to choose what you all want to do. Some of you all may want to do a theme of space. Some of you may want to use a theme of the underwater world, where you want to make fishes, all kinds of different fishes. Maybe even a submarine which kind of goes out from the center of the page. Some of you may want to do birds. Some of you may want to just do flowers, may want to do the foliage, leaves and flowers which are coming out of this. So you guys are free to choose what you want to use as a theme in the mirror flip book is what I would like to call it. You guys can call it what you want, but this is something very new. And after we create this flip book, we're going to shoot it exactly the same way we shooted the phonotropes. So this is a notebook that I think will be easy for you guys to use. This has the checkered boxes, which will give you an idea, a rough idea of where to place your drawings on all the pages. The one which I have used is just lines, which is also not very difficult to do. So if you have this line at home, please go ahead and use the one with the lines. But if you can get this one with the checkered boxes, this will be easier, especially for the younger kids. If you're 10, 11, you may find this a little difficult to do. This will be easy because you know exactly in which box you want to place your drawing, right? Timing and spacing, how to create fast and slow movement is what I'm going to demonstrate now. Of course, I'm going to be drawing in one sheet just to explain, but you will be drawing it on separate frames on your notebook, which is going to be a mirror flip book, as I'm going to be calling it. So let's say you're doing frame number 1, right? This is frame number 1, which will be on page 1. Then you turn your page over and you want to move your circle from left to right, and so my circle is here, and I'm going to put the second frame. I'm using a different color for the second frame so you know what I'm doing, right? So I'm going to move the circle across. The circle is going to move across. So this frame number 2, I'm going to space it. This is the spacing I'm using to move it across, okay? Frame number 3, I'm using a different color so you can see what I'm doing. Of course, you will not be using different colors, you'll be using the same pencil to do your animation, to move your circle across the screen from left to right, right? So this is the spacing. The circle has to stay the same size, right? And this is the spacing that you're going to probably use. Now, will this be fast or will this be slow? This is going to be fast because the spacing, there's a lot of spacing between your drawings. So this movement is going to be fast movement. And this may look a little jerky in your animation. If you want something to go smooth and slow, you'll have to make the spacing between the drawings, you're going to reduce the spacing between the drawings. So if this is frame number 1, frame number 2, you'll have to put it really close. This is frame number 2. Frame number 3, you're going to put it really close. That's frame number 3. And frame number 4 is going to be like this. So as you can see, the drawings are really close. So this is going to be a very smooth movement. And this is going to look far better than something like this. This is going to go fast. So if you're doing a fast moving car, yes, you would want to do something like this. Or if you're going to show a man running fast, this is how you're going to space the drawings. This much, you're going to space them apart this way. But if you are going to do animation which looks smooth and pleasing to the eyes and will register, the audience will be able to see it clearly, then this kind of spacing will work better. Of course, if you don't want to make it so slow, you can even do something like this. This is frame number 1, frame number 2, frame number 3, and frame number 4. So this will be the fastest, this will be less fast, and of course this is going to be the slowest. So you can choose between the 3 depending on what animation you're doing. So this is how you space your drawings. If you want your drawings to move from one side to the other side, this is how you're going to space it. I would not recommend that you go with this because this is going to make your animation jerky. You could do either this or this. Either you space them apart like this where they overlap, but of course they are further apart, and this will look the smoothest. So if you make very little change each time, that always looks best. So this is how you time and space your drawing. So this will be fastest, this will be slower, and this will be slowest. So this is timing and spacing. Now let's say you have a flip book. I'm giving you an example on a flip book, so you know how the drawings are placed on every frame. Let's say you're making an animation on this flip book. So let's say you draw a dot, okay, and you want the dot to grow, right? So in the next frame, you can see where your drawing is on the previous frame, and you can make the drawing grow gradually. So here, can you see? It's grown bigger. And it's grown, and you make it grow gradually bigger. Each time you're making it grow just a little bigger each time. So you can see how it's grown very gradually. 1, 2, 3, right? And then it's grown just a little bit more each time. So every time you're just making a little change from the previous drawing. You're not making too much of a change. Every time it's just growing a little more than your previous frame. Just a little more. You have to ensure it remains a circle each time. See here? It's just growing a little more than the previous frame. Right? And then the animation looks very smooth and pleasing to the eye. So this is how it's growing, and it looks nice. But a lot of children, a lot of people, not only children, a lot of people make one mistake. Let's say they want the dot to grow. They make one dot here, and the next dot, they make it so big. So there's too much of a change, you see. So one dot is here and the next dot becomes big, suddenly so big. And the next dot, they make it even bigger. So if you do this, the animation will work, yes it will, but it's not going to look nice, it's going to look very jerky, this one, because it's growing too quickly. But if you do something like this, where it's just growing gradually, the animation is going to look smoother and more appealing. So each time it just grows a little bigger than the previous frame, just a little bit. Each time it's just getting slightly bigger than the previous frame. So let me show you what is happening here. So if you make a drawing like this, okay, on the next frame in the same place, if you make a drawing that suddenly grows so big and then suddenly grows this big, this animation is not going to look very nice. But if you grow it gradually, so it's on the same spot, the dot grows gradually, very slowly. So each time you're making just a little change, a small change, and gradually growing this dot bigger and bigger, it's going to look, the animation is going to look very nice and smooth. So that's how you're going to do it, not this way. This is the right way. So this is a book that I have already done before. So I'm going to turn every page so you can see what I have done. Of course, I first drew in pencil and then I colored it after I tested it out, or I checked it, and then I colored it. But first I drew in pencil. So here I have, as you can see, part of the circle that is going to come out. So it's coming out very slowly. If you can see the next frame, you can see through the sheet. The sheet is a little transparent. So you can see the next frame, there's not too much change from your previous and the next frame. So the next frame just moves a little bit, right? And it's moving very slowly. So it's coming out of here and it's moving very slowly. Then your snail is coming out, or this worm. Now there are two worms that are out. Okay, the first worm just moved further away from the center, and the second worm appeared, and there's an orange dot that is coming out, right? And then there are three orange dots, and there are these three worms coming out, and these dots move. This circle is transforming. The first circle that you saw, it's developing a mouth over here. Can you see that? It's developed a mouth here. Okay, and there are more shapes that are coming out simultaneously. And then you see a lot more shapes. So you can see how the shapes are coming out. There are so many shapes. So when you flip, you can see that there are more shapes that are appearing. And these shapes are also, so from this, or the red dot, the red circle that was there initially, there's something green coming out of the mouth. And you can see there's something green, and that circle is transforming, and there are some star shapes and then some bean shapes, and there are different shapes coming out. And there you can see there's something coming out of this green creatures coming out of this, and there are these dots, the stars, and these things, still more stars coming out. This thing has, it's some creature, and the red part is now almost disappeared, and it leaves this green worm-like creature here. And there are these new hearts coming out, and there's a yellow circle that is coming out from the center now. And the yellow circle is suddenly grown so big. And the red part is almost gone, and the worm is there. And there's a lot more happening, and a lot more happening. And the stars are moving, the circle has the yellow circle, and there's a plane coming out from here. And look what's happening to this creature. it's getting more tentacles. It's got 3 tentacles now, this green creature that came out of the red dot earlier, and the plane has come out now, and there it has the 3 tentacles, and it's turning, and it's turning more, and the plane has moved, and the yellow circle, can you see where it's gone, and the star, and there is a lot more of flowers coming out of here, and the little, it looks more like an octopus now, it's turning, and it's going out, and the plane is following, and the flower has moved, the stars almost reached the edge of the pages, and everything is moving in different directions. So this is how this flip book, I'm just going to demonstrate how it's been created, right? So I have a flip book here, another book here, and this time it's going to be easier. So I'm going to take the first page. So the pages don't match. So here I'm going to take a page where both the pages look alike, and that's going to be my first frame. Okay. So I'm taking a pencil, because I'm going to first draw with a pencil. So I'm just going to show you very simply how it was done. So I draw 2 shapes here, right? And I just draw the simple shapes. I'm not going to draw all the shapes together at one time. I'm going to draw one shape. I'm going to draw a simple circle to demonstrate, but you can use different shapes. You can use fishes, you can use stars, you can use planets. So if you're going to do a theme of the space, then you use all things that you see in the space, maybe rockets, maybe an astronaut, shooting stars. So you can use all things that you see in the space. If you're using the underwater world, you can try and make all different types of fishes. Maybe you can make a submarine. So everything comes out from here. Or you can just use random shapes like circles, triangles, squares, and you have different things that come out from this. So you can think of a theme and create your animation. So right now I'm just demonstrating a simple circle so you understand what I'm doing. Now this circle, I can see my previous drawing. My previous drawing is here, and I'm going to make my next drawing. I'm going to overlap it, like I said, and I'm going to make my drawing. But I can't see this drawing here. I can't see it because it's here. So how would I know? So you can see this box here. The same box is here, right? So I know that my circle is somewhere here. So I will then make a circle which will be further away, and so I'll know exactly where to place it, because now it's here and then it has moved a little further. So if you flip it, you can see what is happening. Both the circles are identical and they are moving away, right? So you know where to place it because of these boxes. If you have the line book that I have, then you will have to make a judgment of where exactly to place it. But a book like this will really help you and make things easier. Then, okay, you know that this circle is here. I can see through my pages. My pages are a little light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it a little further, and I'm going to maintain the size. It has to stay the same size. So you can see my circle stays the same size every time. It doesn't become bigger and smaller. It stays the same size. Now where do I place this? This comes here. So maybe the next drawing I can start in the middle of this. So it overlaps. So the next drawing I'm going to start somewhere here, and I'm going to make it move ahead. So when you flip it, this is how it looks. The drawings stay the same size and they are moving away from the center, as you can see, right? The next drawing that I made, I'm going to again. So as you notice, I'm just using one shape at a time. When I'm done with the circle, animating the circle, that's when I'm going to start making the next shape, maybe a triangle. But first I want to focus only on my circle and get it to move across. Only once I'm done with that, will I start the next shape. So I'm going to take one shape at a time so I don't get confused. So I've moved it here, and here you can see it's here. So maybe the next drawing I can start on this line, and I know exactly where to draw it. And you can see that it is a mirror of this drawing. So I know where to draw it, right? I know if this drawing is here, I'll have to place my drawing somewhere in the same place. And I continue making my drawings and take my drawings across the path. Now you see it is 1, and this is where I started roughly, right? So I'm going to do the same over here. Can you see where it is? So I'm going to start somewhere here. The next drawing I'm going to start somewhere here, and I'm going to just draw it so that it overlaps the previous drawing and there's not too much spacing, and it's overlapping the previous drawing so that the animation is smooth. And then I continue. Now you see I can probably start on this line and move the drawing slightly ahead. So each time I'm making a very little change, and I'm moving the drawing slowly across the screen. So here I will again leave 2 boxes on this side, and I'm going to make my drawing here. So you can see how it's looking, and the drawing size remains the same, right? Now you see so maybe I'll start on this line on the next page. So I'm going to plan it out. I know I'm going to start on 1, 2, 3 boxes. On the third box, this is where I'm going to make my drawing here. And here I'm going to make my drawing here. So you can see how the drawings are moving. Can you see how the drawings are moving? And here you can see the drawing moving here, and the drawing moving here. So the drawings are moving away. Also, it's a mirror. This ball is doing exactly what this ball is doing, and they are the same distance. Now you see I may start somewhere here in the middle of the 1, 2, 3, the 4th box. So I know the 4th box, I have to start 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the middle of the 4th box is where I'm going to start making my drawing. And here again 1, 2, 3, 4. Middle of the 4th box, I have to make my drawing. Please keep flipping to check that you're making the drawings correctly. Yeah, so I have my ball that has gone across, right? I've already finished doing that. In the next few pages, I have made it move till the end. Now let me start getting a different shape inside. Maybe, I'll start here. Let me start here, right? So I have a star that comes in. Maybe it doesn't come in so quickly. Maybe I see only part of it, right? And I see another part of the star this side. So I have the star coming in. On the next page, so you see where it is drawn, right? On the next page, we will again move it further, and we'll get the full star in. So you should know where to place it, and you get the next star in. Again, you move it further, and you remember each time you move it just a little bit, right? So you can see how it's moving further away each time, right? And you keep moving it a little by little, and here, so you've left one box here, you do the same here, because it's a mirror of what you're doing here. So that's how it moves. Okay, so the star is changing its shape, but it's going to look nice because it's going to look like it's twinkling as it's moving away. Right? Then you have the star moving this way, out, further out. So you see it's on this second line, that's somewhere here, and you draw there. So you see how it's moving, right? Now you could have the star even moving downwards this way, and you can have another, maybe a bean shaped character. So maybe you want something like a bean, you know, you can start a bean this side, something like a bean, and this moves up like this, and you do the same on this side. So it becomes like a mirror. This moves up. Remember, it has to overlap the previous drawing, so it's moving up. Can you see the bean moving up? It's overlapped the previous drawing, and you know that if this is on this line, I have to do the same on this line, and you make it go up, and it goes up. If you can see how it's going up, if you flip it and it's working, the animation is going to work. So don't worry, just keep going and having fun, and you can make this go turn this way now, and you can have, if this is here, next drawing could be here, and you make it move this way, and then the animation looks so nice if you can see what is happening. So I'm just taking random shapes that someone can make foliage, someone can make the space, so you can pick a theme and make shapes as per the theme, or you can just do random shapes like what I have done, and the animation is going to look gorgeous. So here we have created the animation of this little circle, and I've put a ring around it to make it look like a planet. So I've taken an outer space theme. You can see I have a rocket that is going to come out this way. I'm also planning to make an astronaut coming out and floating across from both sides. And then I'll probably make a shooting star which goes upwards, or a shooting star. Now since the rocket is going upwards, I'll probably have the shooting star coming downwards, and I'll probably add a few more stars and few more planets to this scene. So I'll keep adding more. So as these planets and the star go, I'll start creating more things coming out from here, and I will make up to 60 frames, so 60 pages. So I can put my numbers down and erase these numbers later on. So I'm going to create around 60 frames of animation. So you can see now I've just completed the star and the planet, and it's gone. But in between, since all this area is empty, I'm going to add more elements coming out from here. So anywhere you can start adding elements even towards the end. So the page looks completely filled up, and it looks interesting visually, just like how it is done here, where the full page is. So you can see the flower is coming out just when the circle is almost going out of the frame. So that's where the flower is making the entry. Or here you can see the star is coming in, and this orange star is almost out. So you have more elements coming in, and you have to do around 60 frames or 60 pages of animation. The reason why I'm requesting you to make 60 pages is when I shoot this, we're going to take 2 pictures per frame. So like we did for the tomato, we click 3 times. In this case, we will click 2 times. So we'll take two clicks for each frame. So that way you will get 120 frames. So 120 frames. So if you're taking 60 pages, if you click 2 times, you'll get 120 frames, because it's 24 frames per second. So you divide 120 by 24, and you will get around 5 seconds of animation. Okay, so now that you have understood what you have to do, just remember a few points. One is that every drawing that you make a very small change from the previous drawing. The lesser the change you make, the smoother the animation will look. If you make too much of a change, the animation is going to look very, very jerky. You have to remember is please draw only with your pencil. Do not use sketch pens, do not use colors. Let me have a look at it during our smooth session, and then once I say okay, go ahead, then you can color your book.